Hi everyone, and this is the last lesson, the concluding lesson of our course. And today in this block 16, we're going to be talking about your IELTS exam day. So, congratulations, my friends. This is the last lesson of our course. If you've made this so far, then we are proud of you. It's been a really long journey from the very first lesson till this 16th lesson, and I'm honestly so proud of you that you've made it this far, that you didn't give up half the way like most people do, and you've had the courage and you've had the desire to finish the course, and you've had and you put in so much effort. And so honestly, from the very bottom of my heart, I congratulate you for getting to this last lesson. Let's begin. So basically today we'll talk about everything you need to know about your exam day. Things like, where will my test be? When should I arrive? What questions am I allowed to ask during an exam? What should I bring with me to the test? Etc. So there's many questions that I know you have on your mind because IELTS is just so tricky and it's an exam and we are all human beings, which means we're worried, we're stressed out, and we want to do the best and we want to take the highest score possible. So I know that you have those questions, and today we are here to answer all those questions that make you worry. So the very first thing that I would like to get out of the way straight away is no cheating. And I think that the words do not even express my thoughts on this enough, because I've seen so many people trying to cheat during their IELTS exams, and they've always failed. And the examiners, the invigilators, they were always able to see who's cheating, who's not. So just so you know, cheating is not allowed. So cheating includes, first of all, talking to other candidates during the exam. By no means you should try to answer someone's question or to ask someone to tell you something, because if you start a conversation with someone after the exam has started or after the exam has begun, it is going to be considered as cheating, and you will be asked politely to leave the examination room, and obviously you're not going to get your IELTS results and your money will not be refunded. Also, looking at someone else's answer sheet is considered as cheating, so make sure you're only looking straight forward, you're not turning sideways, you're not looking to your left, your right. And if one of the examiners will catch you looking at someone else's answer sheet, then consider that as that's it. You're going to be asked to leave the examination room. So in our case, even looking at someone may be considered as cheating unless a person you're looking at is sitting in front of you. So make sure you're not looking behind, sideways. Don't turn around, okay? Don't turn sideways. All of those things are going to be considered as if you are trying to cheat from someone. So just make sure you're looking straight, sitting straight, and that's it. Also, giving someone a pen, a pencil, an eraser, a ruler, anything can be also considered as cheating if you are also saying something while giving one of these things to another person. So I would strongly advise to you to just not contact with anyone else in the room. You went there to take your exam, you went there to pass it, to get a good score. So just don't bother helping other people. Also, if you are using materials written on a paper that you prepared in advance, so some notes, some useful vocabulary, maybe some linking words, some grammar rules, whatever, then this is also considered as cheating, and I'm sure you know it. So make sure you don't use anything that you've prepared in advance. And obviously, don't use your mobile phone. Now, despite the fact that you are all asked to leave your mobile phones outside your examination room, some people still manage to take some of their extra mobile phones into the examination room and try to use them for maybe a dictionary or something else. Now, this is not really a good idea. Remember that cheating in any form will make the IELTS examiners ask you to leave the examination room. You're not going to receive your IELTS test results, and the money that you paid for your IELTS exam will also not be refunded. So the money the British Council or any other institution or organization where you are planning to take the exam will leave the money to themselves. So you're losing by all the categories. So I just want to tell you that don't try to cheat. Everything that you've learned before your exam that's basically all that you're going to use during your examination. Trying to cheat will only cause you to lose your exam and your money as well, and I'm really sure you don't want to pay 2 or 3 times for the same exam and lose your money just because you were trying to cheat. Okay? So cheating is not a good idea. Forget about it if you were planning to cheat on your IELTS examination. Okay, let's move on to the next point. Okay, the next thing that I want to talk about is check your email consistently when there are only 3 weeks left until your test day. You soon are going to receive a letter from the British Council telling you all the necessary information about your exam. They will send you the address, the time, and list everything you need to bring with you on the test day. Make sure you know all that important information in advance. Okay, make sure you know in advance what building you need to go to. Make sure you know what time your exam starts. Okay, don't rush things. Don't leave everything for the very last evening. Okay, and make sure you also book a taxi a day earlier. You can do that using the Yandex taxi or InDriver or any other taxi basically in the town. So make sure you book a taxi a day earlier, or at least the same day as your test, but 2 to 3 hours in advance. Okay, make sure you know the password from your email that you used when you were registering for your IELTS as well. Sometimes candidates forget their passwords and they're like, oh, I can't open my email right now. Obviously, I can't see my exam details, and it's just a long story of trying to get your exam details. So all the examination details will be sent to your email address that you provided the center with. So if you, for example, were registering British Council, then they asked for your email address, then the address that you provided during your registration is the address where they will email you all your examination details. So start checking when it's just 3 weeks left, and approximately when there's just 2 weeks left, they should email you telling you all the necessary details, like when your speaking is going to be, because most probably you are going to have your speaking examination on a different day. So all those details are going to be emailed to you, so make sure you check that consistently, starting from 3 weeks left until your test day. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is do not cram the night before. Have some rest. We all know how much we love to leave that preparation for the last minute. Now, let me tell you something. Did you know that cramming the night before exams does not work, and it can reduce your ability to recall information by up to 40%? A short nap can refresh your hippocampus and ability to retain material, which means that if you actually go to sleep the night before your examination, you will do much, much better. You will anyway not remember all that new information that you were trying to learn so hard the night before exam, because It will simply go to your short-term memory, and even not 100% of what you learned, you will be stressed out, you will be tired in the morning as I've just read to you. It actually cramming before the night before your exam actually reduces your ability to remember important information by up to 40%. So you may actually do worse on your exam, and you may actually forget the things that you knew before that, and get a low score. So just from my personal experience, I want to tell you that cramming does not help, and not only it doesn't help, it actually makes things worse. So make sure you instead of that, make sure you get enough rest, make sure you go to sleep the night before, make sure you prepare all the things that you need to take with you in advance. So prepare the clothes that you're going to wear, and prepare the things that you need to take with you, prepare your money for the taxi, everything that you are going to need in the morning, so that you are not in a rush in the morning, running around your house like crazy and trying to find stuff that you should have better prepared the night before. Okay, moving on is getting to the test center. Now, before the day of your tests, check the start time and location of your IELTS test center. Make sure you know how to get there on time. We recommend doing this a week in advance so you're fully prepared. Remember to check your IELTS test location, as it may be different to that of the test center where you booked your test. Okay, so make sure that you know exactly the building that you need to go to, and that you know this in advance, that you note rushing in the morning on your test day and you're not trying to find the correct building and it's just all that mess. It's going to make you even more nervous. So make sure everything that you should do, you do it in advance before the day of your actual examination. And getting to the test center is one of those important things that you need to take care of before the day of your examination comes. Okay, the next thing that I want to talk about is arriving for your IELTS test. Now, this is the moment where serious things begin. The following points will help you. Your test day run smoothly. Let's see what those points actually are. The very first point is: firstly, make sure you have read and understood IELTS test terms and conditions. These contain important information about your IELTS test day. You can also find them in the test taker's information part of your application form. So again, look at your application form very carefully, or just go online to the British Council's website and read carefully IELTS test terms and conditions. It will give you all the necessary information you need to know about your exam day. Thing number 2, you need to arrive in good time for your IELTS test. If you arrive late, you may not be allowed to take the test. Now, I've personally seen 2 times when students arrived late for the test and they were not allowed to enter the test room. So again, really, really important. Please arrive in advance. Don't even arrive on time. Don't arrive 10 minutes before your test, okay? You need to go through several procedures first, and registration, and all takes time. So make sure you arrive at least an hour before your actual exam, okay? Now, thing number 3 is switch off your mobile phone and any other electronic devices. You will be asked to place this with other personal belongings outside the test room, and please, please, please do so. Do not take your mobile phone with you into the test room. I'm telling you, this is not going to end well, and you are only going to be caught using your mobile phone, and you will be asked to leave the examination room. So don't even try. Leave it there, leave it with your other personal stuff outside the test room. You will come back to your mobile phone after your IELTS exam is over. No one's taking that away from you. It's your mobile phone. So just leave it outside the test room for 3 hours and then you'll come back to it. I'm pretty sure you can live without your mobile phone for 3 hours, can't you? All right. Thing number 4, the listening, reading, and writing tests altogether take 2 hours 40 minutes, and there are no breaks between each part of the test, which means that you most probably will not be able to go to the restroom, you most probably will not be able to eat. So make sure you go to the restroom and you use the bathroom before your exam begins, after you've done your registration, and before you enter your test room. There'll be some time when you will actually be able to go to the restroom. So please do so that you're feeling comfortable during your examination. And the last but not least is make sure you are prepared and have something to eat and drink beforehand. You will not be allowed to take food into your test room. You will only be allowed to take a drink in a transparent bottle. So if you're one of those people who have headaches if they didn't drink any tea in the morning, so have your tea in the morning at home before you leave your house, because no one will bring you tea or anything like that. Also, if you are one of those people who tend to always have breakfast and eat really well in the morning to have some energy and to just make your mind work, then please eat something in the morning, have your tea, have your orange juice, whatever it is that you are used to drink, and then when you go to the test, you will only be allowed to take a transparent bottle with water. So make sure you have eaten something and you are not hungry, because if you will be hungry, then it will be really difficult for you to focus on what you're doing, to focus on the tasks, to focus on what's actually happening. It will be difficult for you to listen to the examiners and invigilators. So please make sure you eat really well in the morning on your test day, okay? Now, if we talk about your identity documents, when you arrive for your test, IELTS staff will check your identity. Make sure you have the right ID with you. The documents you received when you registered for the test will confirm which ID you will need. Remember, if you arrive with the wrong ID, you will not be allowed to take the test. As an additional security measure, IELTS staff will take a photograph of you before you sit the test. This photo will be used on your test report form. In some countries, you may also be asked to provide a finger scan. So 2 years ago, for example, when I took my IELTS test, my last IELTS exam, I was asked to provide a finger scan. So you may actually this year as well be asked to provide a finger scan, but don't be scared. Those are just security measures, and they are just taken so that people wouldn't cheat and one person wouldn't be taking the IELTS instead of someone else. So also about your ID document, make sure if you, for example, at the moment when you're registering for the test, if you used your ID, then your identification document, then bring your ID. If you used your passport, then bring your passport. Or I would even say bring both ID and your passport just in case. So just take both your ID and your passport and you'll be fine, okay? But make sure you don't forget it at home. I remember one time when I took the IELTS, and it wasn't the main test day, it was the speaking day, and there was this one girl who arrived on time, but she forgot her identification document at home. And so obviously she was not allowed to take the test because she didn't have her ID to prove her identity. So make sure you have your ID with you. Make sure you have your passport with you. Prepare all the documents the night before your exam so that you don't have to run around your house in the morning on your test day and try to find your ID. Okay? Okay. During the test. Follow these rules when sitting IELTS tests. You will only be allowed to have a pen or pencil, an eraser, and your ID on your desk. No other things like pencil boxes, rulers, or stuff like that will be allowed. So again, only a pen or pencil, an eraser, and your ID. If you need to go to the bathroom during the test, put your hand up and attract the attention of the invigilator. Do not disturb other candidates. Do not shout through the entire room, "Please let me go to the restroom," or "May I go out?" Okay, don't do that. just quietly raise your hand. The invigilator will come to you and ask you what's the matter, and then you can say, may I go out, okay? If you have any questions during the test, raise your hand to ask for help. Again, don't shout. Raise your hand very quietly. The examiner will come up to you and will help you with whatever issues you have. But remember that you are not allowed to ask questions about the content of the exam. It's the only case when you're allowed to ask questions about your exam papers if you can see that you're missing some questions, you're missing maybe, let's say, a paragraph, or you're missing a reading passage. For example, let's say you have only reading passage 1 and reading passage 2, and then they forgot to print reading passage 3. So if something like this happens, then yes, definitely raise your hand and ask the invigilator to replace your exam papers by the ones that you should actually have, and they will gladly do so very quickly. But again, don't shout and do everything quietly. When you take the listening test, check that you can hear the test properly. Raise your hand straight away and let the invigilator know if you cannot hear the recording. And actually, they will ask you anyway. They will play like maybe 10 seconds of it first, and they will ask, can you guys all hear it pretty well? And if you can't, then say, I can't hear, okay? And they will try to change your place, maybe do something with it, maybe make the volume a little bit louder. Please remember that you will have 10 minutes after the listening section to fill in your answer sheet. You will not have 10 minutes after the reading section, so please make sure that you write your answers on your reading answer sheet as you complete each section. Now, I just want to stop here and talk about it for a while, because so many students do make mistakes on listening and reading just because of this additional 10 minutes. So either have it just because of having it or not having it. So see, listening, you're going to have additional 10 minutes after the test. So don't even bother touching your answer sheet before your listening test is finished. Okay, before they tell you you now have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet. These are the words that you're going to hear after your listening test is over. That's when you should take your answer sheet in your hands and slowly and accurately and very, very attentively start transferring your answers from your question booklet to an answer sheet. Now, the thing that people always fail at is so many people forget that there's no additional time. Well, not so many, but there's some people who forget. So make sure that you finish transferring your reading answers from your question booklet, from your reading question booklet to your reading answer sheet before 1 hour finishes. So when your reading test begins, they're going to give you 1 hour, 60 minutes for doing your reading test. By the time those 60 minutes finish, you should already have your answers transferred to an answer sheet. Okay, not after those 60 minutes finish. Before they finish, you should already have your answers transferred to an answer sheet. If you don't have them, then you're going to receive 0 for the reading section of the exam. So make sure you don't make such a silly mistake and don't lose points on that. Okay, so just remember, for the listening, I have 10 minutes additional time. So during the test, I will not even touch my answer sheet because I will have some additional time for it. I don't need to spend my valuable time on it now. But for the reading part, remember that you are not going to have an additional time. So after you finish doing reading passage 1, transfer your answers to an answer sheet. Finish doing reading passage 2, transfer your answers to an answer sheet. Finished doing your reading passage 3, transfer your answers to an answer sheet. That way, you will not forget about transferring your answers, and you will not have to transfer all the 40 answers at once, which makes it a lot easier actually. And the last one is, remember to give yourself the best chance of success by taking our practice test, so you know what to expect before your test day arrives. If you have already registered for your IELTS exam, then you have 30 hours of free online IELTS preparation. practice on the British Council website, and it's called Road to IELTS, I believe. So use them, do as many practice tests as you can, and even outside that Road to IELTS program, make sure you do as many practice tests as you can. I always tell my students that IELTS isn't really about the language, but rather more about your skills, because you are limited on time. If you had 3 or 4 hours to complete your reading passages, then you would most probably get 40 out of 40, or at least 38 out of 40. But since you only have 1 hour, it means that they're not just testing your level of English, they're also testing your reading skills, yeah? How quickly you can read and how quickly you can understand the stuff that you are reading. All right, let's move on. At the end of your test, so stay in your seat until the invigilator gives you permission to leave the room, okay? Don't just stand up and try to leave the room once your writing exam is finished. So you know that the right order is the very first test that you're going to have is listening. Once your listening is finished, they're going to collect your listening question booklets, and they will then hand out you your reading question booklets, okay? You're still going to have the same answer sheet, because your answer sheet has 2 sides, one for the listening and one for the reading, right? Again, don't confuse those 2 sides with each other. Please choose the right side to write on. So yeah, after your listening test is finished, what they're doing is they're collecting your listening question booklets. So you're no longer going to have your listening question booklet after your listening test is finished. You're only going to be left with your answer sheet. Now they're handing out you your reading question booklets, and answer sheet, you already have it, right? You already have your answer sheet. So they gave you your reading question booklets, you spend 1 hour answering your reading questions, and now they take away the reading question booklet and your answer sheet as well. So you basically have nothing on your table. Now they're going to give you your writing question booklets and your writing answer sheets. Again, give you 1 hour to complete the tasks. Once 1 hour is finished, they are now going to collect your writing question booklets and your writing answer sheets, and that's basically the end of your test. So once you hear it, once your papers have been collected, please don't stand up and try to leave the room, okay? So stay in your seat until you have that permission, until the invigilators tell you that, you guys, you're now free, you can go, okay? Until you hear those words, stay in your seat. If you think that there have been any issues that may have affected your performance, tell the invigilator straight away. So if you think that someone was maybe talking to you all the time and was trying to make you, I don't know, trying to ask you questions or something, tell the invigilator right after the test is finished, okay? During the exam, if someone is trying to talk to you, don't answer, don't pay attention, don't do anything, just look at your answer sheet, look at your question booklet, continue working anyway, okay? Or at least raise your hand and tell the invigilator that the person who is sitting behind you or to the left of you, to the right of you, is trying to ask you some questions and you don't want to answer them, okay? But if you didn't do so during the test and after the test you remembered some important details that you think may have affected your performance, then you need to tell the examiner straight away. If you want to make a complaint about your test day, so let's say there were things that you didn't like, maybe the listening audio wasn't of a good quality, then you must do this within 1 week of the test day. So let's say you took the test today, and from 1 week from now, you have these 7 days to make your complaint about your test day. If you want to raise an issue or make a complaint, you will be asked to fill in a test day incident form. It's just a little document where you will write and you will explain what happened and how you think what happened, and then why you think this has affected your performance, or your score may be possible. So all those details, you will have to write them down on that test day incident form. All right, let's move on. Okay, test day tips. Understand the task, first of all. Follow instructions carefully during the test. Remember that in the writing parts of the test, you will be asked to write a specific number of words. Yeah, how many? 150 for writing task 1 and 250 for writing task 2. Now, for the listening section and for the reading section of your exam, remember that every set of questions has a separate instruction that applies to that set of questions. So let's say questions 1 to 4, you need to write this many words. Questions 5 to 7, you need to write, let's say, no more than 3 words. Question 8 to 10, let's say no more than 1 word. So no matter how many practice tests you have done before, like before your actual exam day, don't forget to read the instructions to every set of question that you get on your IELTS test day, okay? Also, allow enough time for each question. Some questions have suggested time limits for you to follow. Every test room will have a clock on the wall. Stay aware of the time during the test so that you can complete all the questions. So, for example, for the listening test, you don't really need to look at your watch because the tape is pre-recorded and it will have all the pauses necessary, and it will actually tell you when the end of each section is, what set of questions you need to look at right now, and it will tell you when your test ends, okay? But for the reading test and for your writing test, you are going to have to track your time yourself. So once the reading test starts, make sure you spend 25 minutes on your last reading. So make sure you spend 15 minutes on your reading passage 1, 20 minutes on your reading passage 2, and 25 minutes on your reading passage 3. Okay, like that. And for your writing test, make sure you spend only 15 to 20 minutes on your writing task 1, and then spend about 40 minutes on your writing task 2. So just stick to those time limits and remember that no one is going to give you additional time, so you should finish on time. And in order to do that, a very good idea is to practice in advance, okay? And the last thing is just keep calm. If you feel worried, take some deep breaths, focus on the questions, and do not rush your answers. This will help you to do your best. Remember, preparation is key to remaining calm. And trust me, being worried and being stressed out and being nervous is not going to help you do better on your exam day. So just try to be calm. Try not to be super nervous, because if you're super nervous, you're going to tend to forget some of the useful things that you knew. And just know that being nervous will not help you at all, and it will only make things worse. So try to be confident. You've studied hard for this, you've prepared a lot, so the knowledge that you have in your mind will help you get the score that you deserve and will help you get the score that you want to achieve, provided that you've studied hard enough for this. If you haven't, then nothing's going to help you get, for example, let's say a 9 if you've never really prepared for your IELTS test. You realize that, right? So just don't be nervous, don't panic. If a question comes and you don't know a word, or if you don't know how to translate one sentence in your reading passage, that's not the end of the world. You might still not get the correct answer to, let's say, 1 or 2 questions, but that's not the end of the world. You still have the other 38 questions to answer, and if you do get 38 questions right, then it's already 8.5 for the reading part. So make sure you just don't get overwhelmed with all that, because this is not really important. Take a deep breath when you enter your exam room. Just try to be confident about yourself. Everything that you've learned so far will stay with you. Don't forget to get enough sleep. As I said earlier, if you cram before the night before your exam, you're going to feel really bad the next morning. You're going to feel tired, exhausted. You're going to feel hungry. You're going to feel angry with yourself for not getting enough sleep and everything. So just follow all the instructions that I gave you in today's concluding lesson. I'm pretty sure all these tips are going to help you get the highest score possible. And we truly hope that everything that you've learned during our online IELTS preparation course will help you get the band score that you deserve and that you want to take. And now I would like to share with you 1 or 2 videos of last minute IELTS preparation. So basically what you need to do one day before your IELTS exam. This is the video by the IELTS coach. Please watch the video, and then there will be one more. And best of luck with your IELTS exam. Don't forget to leave me a comment in the chat down below this video lesson, and I'll see you guys.
Hello. Today I want to share with you some things you can do on the day before your IELTS exam. Okay, so today is the final day before your IELTS exam. What should you do? So that's why I've created this video, to help students with their final bit of preparation. So I am assuming that tomorrow you do have the IELTS exam. You have all 4 skills. So today you are not sure what you need to do before you take that exam. So personally, I recommend that students should do 5 things on the day before their IELTS exam. And that first thing is to relax and stop studying. You're not going to learn anything in the next 24 hours. You should already know all of the information that you need to succeed in IELTS. If you haven't done enough preparation now, the next day will not help you. So relax, start to get in the right frame of mind for the exam. So do something that will help you to relax, but stop doing practice papers that won't have time to get marked. Stop doing listening and reading tests. Just relax and stop studying. You've done all the hard work. Now is just the time to mentally prepare for the exam tomorrow. The second thing that I recommend students do is to review exam strategies. So don't sit down with all of your books and all of your practice papers, but in your head, mentally review what you are going to do, what you are going to experience in each of the exams. So you should have a strategy. Okay, when I walk into the writing exam, okay, what do I do first? Okay, I'll read task 1, I will analyze the question, I will paraphrase the question, then I will think of an overview. What are you going to do in each of the exams? Just mentally go through a checklist, review your strategies. In the listening exam, I will look at questions 1 to 10. I will think of the key words and write predictions. I will check answers. What is going to happen? Get yourself into that process. Get yourself into the habit of what you are going to do in exam day by just mentally reviewing. No papers, no books. Just think about what you are going to experience on exam day. The third thing that I recommend for students is, as well as think about what you are going to do, imagine yourself and visualize yourself succeeding in the exam. So when you imagine yourself doing the exam, don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Make your imagination create a confident student. You know what to do. You walk in, okay, the questions I understand. I know the structure. I know how to do things. Imagine yourself, visualize yourself doing all parts of the exam successfully. Imagine the best of you doing the exam. If you imagine failure, if you imagine fear, then you won't do very well. But imagine a confident self going in there and getting the questions that you were ready for, that you have prepared for, and be confident in yourself. The next thing to think about or to do before exam day is more of a practical thing. So it's not mental visualization or mentally reviewing your strategies, but this is to prepare the materials you will need. Do you have the pencils that you are going to take in the exam? Do you have your identification or your passport or your application form? Do you have the necessary documents you are going to need to prove who you are? Do you have a map to go to the exam? Do you know where it is? Do you know how long it will take? Prepare this kind of materials. The worst thing would be to, oh, it's in a different building than I thought, and then you end up being late. So make sure you know where the exam is. Make sure you know what identification you need to take with you. Make sure you have the payment if you still need to pay for things. Okay, you have somewhere to park. If you're parking your car, do you know where to park? You don't want to spend 30 or 45 minutes looking for parking. So make sure you know where to go and what to do. You've got all of that information ready. And the final thing that I think students should do on the exam day is be confident in yourself. Be confident in your ability. You have done the work. You have been studying for a various amount of time, but you've done the work, you prepared. If you weren't, you should not be doing the test. Be confident. I've done what I needed to do. I'm ready for this exam. I am going to do well because I have prepared. So I see it so often. It's how students feel on the day of the exam very often determines how well they do in the test. Even students who prepare a lot, sometimes they feel bad, they feel worried, they don't perform 100%. So get that attitude. This is what you should be doing on the final day of preparation. Mentally preparing yourself to be strong and confident on exam day. Okay, if you're afraid and fearful and worried, perhaps you shouldn't do the exam. You've done the work. Have you prepared? Have you done homework? Do you understand the strategies? Do you know the type of questions? If you do, you are ready. Be confident. Go in there and do your best job. So I hope these 5 things will help you on the final day of your preparation. So let's review them. You should stop, relax, and stop studying. You should review your exam strategies. Go through what you are going to do in each of the tests. Visualize yourself being successful in all 4 skills. Prepare your materials, your pencils, your identification, and be confident that you are going to do well. So much of this is about how you feel on exam day. So I hope those tips have helped you. Please, after you've done the exam, if you need to, let me know your results under this. Let me know if you have any other advice for students on the final day of the exam. Normally, I would recommend to watch more videos and to subscribe to my YouTube channel, but today you don't need to do that. You need to relax, start thinking about how well you will do in the exam tomorrow. So thank you for watching and goodbye.